Alright, so we're going to be doing more stuff with materials today. Let's just take a look at some of the ones you guys did. So that's like a metal salmon kind of look. It's kind of cool. Hernandez had kind of a swirly brown bronze texture on it. Got a normal map. It doesn't have specular, but that's okay because it's mostly metallic. It's kind of a quasi-metal. It's alright. That's just a boring pink. So this Wadi, like I told you, you need to add a normal map to it. That's just a little too basic for this assignment. 0 metallic, 1 specular, 0.4 roughness, and pink. Yeah, it's not quite good enough. This is pretty spectacular right here. So you took that photo yourself, Stafford? That's a pretty nice recreation of a rock there. Very nice, very nice. Lake Tahoe, yeah, it works out really nice. That's fantastic, right there. So Leal has like this neon blue color here called Yeet, which uses fire as the normal map, which probably is not intended for that purpose. Usually you want to use a normal map. Those are the textures that end with like an underscore n in them as your normal map. If you use the fire as a normal map, then what happens at every point it grabs the RGB values and uses those as the direction that point is pointing. And so this one will only be pointing in the X direction or something like that. And so you get this really weird kind of effect here. And it kind of works, I guess. Metallic is metal. Specular is fed into the... I don't know. I can't really see what's happening here. Roughness is 0.5. Base color of like a medium blue. Yeah, it's kind of a weird look. Probably as a result of the normal map. This is like a shiny water kind of look. We could probably talk about doing water today, actually. See if I remember how to do it. Street texture, yeah. It's not bad, not bad. So, again, that may or may not be good as a normal map. Specular, roughness, base color, feeding in texture coordinates so tiles better. Okay. It's neon blue, and that was before you put in the normal map. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of a cool look. I like that. So we got gray, metal. I don't know why you don't need to preview the red here because it's a single constant. So you can just click on the up arrow there and then hide it because it's not really a color. It's just the number 0.8. It's like a bumpy chocolate. Probably a little bit too shiny if you're trying to do chocolate. It looks like plastic more than chocolate, but roughness of 0. Yeah, roughness of 0 tends to not look very good. Very few things are perfectly smooth. Specular of 1 also makes it really shiny. So I would probably play with those a little bit more if you're trying to do like a chocolate effect. And this is really nice. It's like a gold foil kind of look. So yellow color, 4 on the metallic. Nah, 1. Right. Sometimes you can hack, graphics engines that if you go outside the accepted boundaries, it'll work. But specular and metallic should just both be 1. Roughness is good, and then the normal map here adds a nice crinkly effect to it. So it's a pretty fast and easy way of doing a gold foil. So hopefully you guys saw that you can make materials pretty straightforward. Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys how to make dynamic materials today. So let me snap this over. This is from my last semester stuff. Okay, so you know how like every time you had to change something, you had to hit apply and it would recompile and all that kind of stuff. as it turns out, you can make it dynamic. And so, watch this. Ooh. Ooh. I can move the noise on it, and I can make it more damaged or perfectly undamaged. So I can make it so that as you hit it with a flamethrower, like the thing starts getting encrusted in soot and things like that. And you can actually tie that into blueprints as well, right? So you just have a material that by default is a little bit dirty, and then if it gets hit by a rocket launcher, like it gets coated in soot or something like that, or maybe you can have the player come by and polish it, and whoop, it's now sparkly new. And so there's a couple different uses for this. The main use is just like you can have one material that works in a variety of situations, right? So I could have one material that is, you know, like if I have multiple objects, one of them could be new, one of them could be damaged, and I don't need to make a different material for each one. Instead, what I can do is, and then I can add strength to the how much pitting there is on the surface. So that's controlling the tiling on it. And so you only need to make one material, and then that material can be used for a variety of different purposes. And so some game development studios will actually just make like a metal material, and then everything could be a parameter to it, like the color, the amount of pitting, the amount of damage on it, the amount of rust on it, all that kind of stuff. So and then I can save a copy of this, so I could be like awesome matte Prinny 2, or actually let me make a very damaged version of this. See if this is damaged glue, and then I can reset these guys back to the way they were. So that's how it was before. Let's save. And then I can, where is the starter content? Props. Rotate. And bill. Damaged blue. So you see how I can have, it's the same texture, but I can have one that is far more damaged than another. Okay. Or I can use Ada's blue that she made, which is like this translucent water thing. It's like a blue plastic translucent surface. Or she made this one, my daughter made this one, which is a very shiny blue with like a clear coat on it. And all of these are actually the same bloody hell. So look at that. I added blood to the surface on it. It's all the same material. It's all actually the same material. I'm just using what's called dynamic materials. So you can see you know, if you look at this and you look at this, you can actually see the noise pattern is actually the same. Like right here, and right here, you can see it's the same. But I've changed the underlying color, and I've changed the dirt on top of it from black. Like before, it was kind of like a soot, like it had been charred by like flames and things like that, to blood, right? Or like maybe that's rust, I don't know. And so all of these are actually the same material behind the scenes. And so you can, and you can, because it's dynamic, you can actually have it get blood sprayed on it in real time if you want. So which one was that? Bloody Hell. So Bloody Hell. No, whatever. Let's see. Do I have any other examples? Okay, but yeah. So that's kind of what we're going to go over today, and you can see that you can just have one master material that you can set parameters on it, and what happens is it compiles it, but it leaves those parameters there, and those parameters can be adjusted in the editor or in real time using blueprints. You can spray blood across surfaces and things like that. It's a pretty fantastic effect, to be honest. I'm really happy with how that turned out. So that was from fall 2020. Let's hide the students' grades. Close out of that. And let's watch the Unreal Engine. So if you guys can open up UE4. So I'm going to come into spring 2021. So the plan today is to teach you guys dynamic materials and to teach you guys about water. Such a garbage section. That is so hideous. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm just gonna delete that one. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just no, fine. I'm just gonna. Gosh, it's so terrible. Delete, and I'm just gonna put in a parameter. Okay, so I'm gonna put in a vector parameter here. And so this is something new. So a parameter is different from a constant. A constant is always fixed. It gets compiled in. You can't really do anything with a constant once it's been compiled. It's just a constant, right? But what I have here now is I have a parameter. And so this parameter is going to, using the texture samples green channel here, which is every other square, it's some of the time going to be black, some of the time going to be brown, and it's going to lerp between the two using the green channel here. So it's going to some of the time pick the black color here, some of the time pick the brown color here, and we've got a undercoat, I believe, a subsurface color of red, which kind of makes it more of a chocolatey instead of a pure black. And then do we have a normal map? Yeah, and so the normal map we can also hook up to the ambient occlusion if you want it to be self-shadowing. Let's see if we can apply that here. Let's see if we can see any of that on there. Texture is really subtle. Let's see. So how ambient occlusion works is actually kind of interesting. Let's see if we can see the difference between the two of these here. So what it actually does, it kind of sends out a kind of a ray in every direction and sees if it can if it hits something, and so it's kind of aware of the geometry around it, and so if you're beneath like your nose and things like that, so like your cheek, you'd send out a ray and it's like, oh, the nose is there, and so if there's a light on that side, then your cheek will get shadowed by your nose. And there's a certain radius to that. So, okay, so we got here a checkerboard pattern, and you can see we got a little bit of a pattern on here. If I turn off the subsurface color, let's see, it should probably turn black at that point, right? No, because interesting. Let's make this just black. Let's see if that helps. There we go. So that the subsurface scattering was causing it to be kind of reddish because the light would come in and bounce around and then come out red. Which I'll just turn that off for now. Okay, so here we've got this checkerboard pattern, and again, lerping is how you can mix together two different things. There's also blend nodes and things like that, but lerping is and if you pass in a value in between 0 and 1, then it will do 50-50, and so you can do smooth. Let's see if I can find a good texture here that will show different kind of lerping. Yeah, that's right. And so depending on how black and white the let's see. Where's bigger. Okay. There it is. All right. Let's pick a different texture. Okay. Yeah. So this is. Let's pick something that's gray in it. That's kind of interesting. It's all the flower stuff, right? That's fine. Yeah, so if we use that, then the white areas will get the B, and the black areas, which are underneath, get black, and then the gray areas get blended between the gray and the black. So you can see we can imprint the Unreal logo on top of the thing. Let's see if we can find a good example for this. Let's try this one. Yeah, it's kind of subtle, but I don't know if you guys can see that. But basically, by using the grayness of it to choose whether I'm going to grab black or grab brown, then it creates these cool little tiger stripes on it. Let's see if it is visible out here. Not really, it's too subtle. Let's see if we can make something more dramatic. Yeah, so by using this pebble pattern here, let's not tile it quite as much. So by using this brick pattern, the areas that are white is going to pick B, the areas that are black are going to pick A, and the areas in between blend between black and brown. Sorry. And then we come out here and let's see. Yeah, you can see how there's like a dappled pattern on it. So some of the areas are darker than others. Now, what can we do with this? So we got a parameter now, right? And in fact, let's make this guy a parameter as well. So not a constant. Let's make it a parameter. Make it a vector parameter, and we will call this color 2. And let's see if we can just rearrange this a little bit. So color 2 is going to be here. And this guy we will call color 1. So anything that's a parameter can be changed in real time, okay? And so right now it's going from black to black, which is not very interesting. So if we pick a different color here, let's make it red. Go super garish red. You can see we got like a Sith color here, and we can make this guy like a really garish green. Just go for something super clashing and ugly. And you can see how the lerp node is blending between the two of them, right? So if we apply this, you can see that our wonderful chocolate is now this garish green and red monstrosity, right? Yeah. And so the lerping is done based on this guy here, and the tiling on it is controlled by this thing here. So let's make the tiling actually parameter. Can we do that? Let's see. Text parameter texture. I guess we can multiply it. Yeah, that's probably the best way of doing it. Okay, so texture coordinate, we'll set this equal to 1. And then we'll cut these guys out here. If I can click on it, there we go. And I'm going to run this into a multiply node. And so I'm going to multiply this by a parameter. And this will be like a scalar parameter, if we can find it. Scalar parameter, there we go. Okay. So this is the texture tiling. What's this called? Tiling. Okay. And so tiling will default to 0.1, and doesn't, and probably the minimum would be like 0.1, let's say, and the maximum would be like 10. And so if you set a minimum and a maximum, it'll give you a slider and you can drag back and forth between it, which is kind of cool. And then the result of this multiplication, we will feed into here and feed into here. Okay, so we've got 3 parameters now. We've got the first color, we got the second color, the subsurface color. We make that a parameter as well, vector parameter. And this will be the subsurface color. And we can feed you into here. So basically all of these constants, all of the samples, all of those can be parameters as well. And so basically if you want to leave fixed anything, you can leave fixed because it'll compile down. But if you want things to be able to change in real time, like you want a surface that will move, or if you want the colors to be able to be changed, or if you just want different objects to use the same material but have different colors, like for example in a lot of video games they'll use different colors for the monsters. You know, they'll have one monster be green and one monster be red, and the red one is harder than the green one or something like that, right? In Mario Brothers, you have the green Koopa, you have the red Koopa, right? And the red one's harder, and so you can do tricks like that. So let's apply this. Let me show you guys how to use this. So now that we've made a material that has parameters in it, now comes the important step. Look at that. That is like some alien looking nonsense right there. Okay, so I've got my daughter. Delete that out. That doesn't belong in there anymore. No, get out of here. Okay. Go away. Go on, Unreal. Don't crash on me. It's like, no, I love your face too much. We're not gonna accept it. Okay. Well, any questions? Okay, there we go. Thank you. Any questions so far? Noise textures, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, good noise textures is a good thing to have in your tool chest. So I'm going to go ahead and download Zach's noise.zip and Zach noise. Go uncompress that real fast. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is open this in Explorer. Okay, so there is the Zach noise folder, and then this is the thing that he just posted on Discord. For those of you at home, Zach Mueller just posted a bunch of noise textures on Discord, and so I'm just going to copy these, paste them in here. Then Unreal Engine will detect it. Would you like to import them? Yes, I would. And then you'll see them all just come in there. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Thank you, sir. Contributions are appreciated. Lave objects to me deleting my faces. Nothing was lost. Okay, so now that we've got parameters, what can we do with it? Check this out. Right click and choose Create Material Instance. You guys see that? I'm going to leave this up on the screen for at least, I don't know, 20 seconds or so, because this is the key thing. So anytime you have a material that has parameters in it, you can make a new version of the material that has different parameters. And you do that, did it go away? You do that by right-clicking on a material and choosing Create a Material Instance. So for those of you that have taken CSI 41, you know about object-oriented programming. You have a class, and you can create instances of the class. And so we've got a class called KerneyMat, and then we can create an instance where the colors are brown and gold, and we can create an instance where the colors are blue and white, and create an instance where it's pink and green, you know. So you can just use the material as it is, or you can make a new material instance like this, and I will call this one brown and gold. Okay. And you'll see by default it is the same as Kearney Mat, and if I drag it out here onto that guy, you'll see nothing change.
Oh, that's a weird color.
That's a weird color, I know.
Hey, can you drag that out onto the floor so I can see what it looks like?
Sure.
Oh, it's kind of neon.
Yeah, it's really garish and clashing. So, however, now that I've made this guy brown and gold, I should probably live up to the name, right? So if you double click on brown and gold, you'll see it's actually different from Kearney Mat. If you double click, here, turn off the alarm first. Turn off the alarm. So if you pull up Kearney Mat, you see it's got, you can play Skyrim? Yeah, sure. But turn off the alarm, please. So Kearney Mat has our whole node graph for the material, our shader, you know. But that's not what we see if we double click on brown and gold. The instance doesn't have that. You see it just has a little preview icon here, preview window here. We snap it left. And you can see though it's got these parameters. The parameters that we created before have now got places here where we can check a checkbox, and if we do that, we will make a change to those parameters. So for example, if I check the tiling parameter here, and I drag around, you will see, look, in real time, you can actually see in the game world, as I increase or decrease the density of that, that texture that I was using to blend, to lerp between the green and the red, I can adjust the density of it. And this is really nice because if I've got this guy on here, right, then I can adjust it so it doesn't look all stretched and garbagey. And in fact, I might even want to have a different tiling for the Y and the X because this is a really long object. And so I can actually adjust the tiling independently of each other. And so I could make it not all stretched out and kind of garbagey looking like it is right now. And so as I adjust these parameters, you see how it snaps at 10. 10 is the highest. That's because in the parameter on it, I set the minimum to be 0.1 and the maximum to be 10. And so as I drag left and right, you can see those are the kind of extrema of it. Right? So I'll make it kind of look there. And then I can check this box here, and I can adjust the base color. So I want to do brown and gold, so I'm going to do a kind of a gold color. Yeah, it's close enough. There's gold, and then I check that box. When you check the box, it overrides the default. And then I'm going to go with 0.6 red, 0.3 green, 0 blue. Drag the intensity down to there. And you can see we now have kind of a brown, looks almost black on it. Maybe because the subsurface color needs to be set as well. So let's set the subsurface color to there maybe. Yep. And then as we walk around, you can see the areas that are getting sunlight and the areas that are not getting sunlight look different because there is a subsurface scattering effect going on there. Probably should just turn that off for this material, but whatever. And then what would happen if I set the alpha on this? Oh, okay. Didn't know if subsurface scattering uses alpha or not. And so let's maybe brighten this guy up a little bit. Kind of reddish now. There we go. All right. So you can see where the subsurface scattering is coming in. Areas where light is penetrating the surface. I set the subsurface scattering color to be purple, so it'd be, you know, pretty obvious where the subsurface scattering is taking place, right? So the light kind of penetrates and then it kind of comes out this way, purplish. I will just turn that to white. Maybe let's try that. No, that's garbage. Let's set it to black. There we go. Okay, so when you have a material instance like that, then I've got one guy that is using the same material, just with different parameters, and then I can drag out another prop. I'll do another one of these guys and rotate it around. And I'll go back into Bill and drag out Kearney Mat onto that guy again. Actually, no. Let's right click and make another material instance, and this one we can do blue and gold, let's say. Double click. override color 1 to be a royal blue color, and override color 2 to be a gold color, and close out of that. And then I'll drag blue and gold onto here, and you can see it's the same material, right? These two guys are both the same material, right? But they look radically different. And so, like I said, a lot of professionals will just make one texture for like metal, you know, and then you can change the tint. Is it copper? Is it bronze? Is it silver? Is it tin? How pitted is it? How rusted is it? All of those things will be set as parameters, like you saw on my other project there. I could just drag a parameter value up and down, and it would become coated in soot, or would be covered in blood, you know, and things like that. So just one materials rule them all, and in the darkness bind them, right? So any questions about this? Any questions about that? This type of thing allows for multiple dynamic variants at once. Yeah. And in blueprints, you can control those parameters as well. Kind of cool. Maybe we can show that next, but I kind of want to do water today as well. So let's drag blue and gold onto there. So let's make a new version called high tile. And the high tile version will just have a lot more tiling going on. Drag it all the way up to 10. And it's going to be... Ew, that's an ugly color. I love it. Okay. Let's drag that on there. Ew, that is disgusting. Right? And so for bigger objects, you might turn the tiling level up so that they don't look all stretched out. And for smaller objects, you can turn the tiling down. And like I said, I would probably want to have separate tiling parameters for the X and the Y axes as well. Any questions about this? That is an ugly texture. I love it. That is amazingly garish. So that'll be the next thing you guys have to do. So if you have any questions, you should probably ask about it. The main difference from what we did before was before we used a constant, right? Like a 3 constant for a color, RGB, or 4 constant if you want to have RGBA for transparency, which gets ignored a lot of times. Or you can use a single parameter constant for roughness or spec or metallic. And what we did was we replaced those. The 3 constants get replaced by a vector parameter, and the 1 constants get replaced by a scalar parameter. And then once you do that, by default, it just works exactly the same way. The scalar parameter, metallic 1, you know, it all hooks together the same way. Let me go back in here while the lighting is building. Yep. While the lighting is building, let's go back in here. And so, like, I could make the metallicness of it, rather than a constant, I can make it a scalar parameter and call this metallic, and then hook it up here. And the default we set over here, so by default it's not metallic, but now you can make it so that in the game it suddenly becomes metallic. Like I don't know, like you know how like Medusas can turn people to stone. You know, like maybe you have something that the thing suddenly turns into metal and freezes in place or something like that. And because it's a parameter, it can just do that in real time. And then for our, what is that, spec, we can make that a parameter as well. Scalar parameter. And call this specular. Is the theme today just garish colors? You know, maybe. I mean, yesterday it had that horrible, you know, face texture. And then for roughness, so for specular, what was the value before? I don't remember. 0.5, and the minimum is 0, the maximum is 1. Do you guys see that over there? That allows you to have a slider bar that you can just drag up and down. So setting the minimum to 0 and the maximum to 1, snaps it at 1 and clamps it at 0 the other way. 0.65, so you will also become a scalar parameter. And you will be called roughness. Nope. roughness, and the default value is 0.65, and look that up. Yeah, okay. The texture sample, I think, can also be a parameter. Let's see, text parameter, texture object parameter, texture sample parameter 2D. This will be called normal map. Normal mappy. Delete you. And ew, how did that get set by default? It's weird. So let's maybe use some of Zach's normal maps. So let me snap that left and snap it right. Go into Zach noise. These aren't really normal maps, are they? Search for _n. No. Alright, textures. These are all normal maps. Anything that ends with an _n is a normal map. Yeah, pebble still works. Okay. Does it not take that? There we go. And so feeding the scaling into here, and then feeding the normal map into normal, ambient occlusion, apply. Now that I've changed the base material, what you'll see is that all of the, do you see that? Do you see how the wall is different now? It's got these pebbles on it, and there's shadows on it from the ambient occlusion. And if we come over here, you'll see that this surface is radically different now. And this one is radically different now, because all of these are children of the parent class. The parent class is the material, and then these are all material instances of it. And so you only have to change the material in one place, and you can see that all of these guys now look very different, right? A very different look. So that looks kind of lame, so let's go back over to Bill. Remove the filter, and let's go back into brown and gold because it kind of looks kind of lame now. And you'll see that you'll see that there is now a parameter for the normal map, and so I can click on that, and I can pick a different normal map. So I can pick this one if you want. Now I've got this cool raised flower look on the surface of blue and gold, right? And so this guy still has the bumpy pebbles. This guy still has bumpy pebbles, but this guy has like these cool floral imprints on it, which is kind of cool. Right? So there's all sorts of just cool things you do. And so you see when there's an instance of it, you can override any of the parameters if you'd like. But this guy is just using the default pebble, and that guy's using the default pebble. So I'll just pick something boring, I guess. Treasures. Let's just search for _n. Perlin noise. No. That's actually what I was using for, I think, the fire effect. I was blending Perlin noise in. Let's see. that would look. Let's go. It's not a normal map though. There we go. All right. So this is a walnut wood normal map, and so you can see there's like, do you see how there's like a wood grain on it there? And then I can make the color more brownish with like a dappled. That's kind of a little too green, I think. Let's put less green. It's too brown. Let's do 0.2, 0.1. There we go. It's a nice brown. And then for the secondary color, let's make it kind of darker, I think. There we go. So that's actually a fairly decent wood texture. I think I'd probably want to change the tiling a little bit. Yeah, the wood grain isn't particularly obvious, but you guys see that? How there's like a texture on it, and then there's the different colors are blending together. If I want, I can make this a metal wood. So because I made metallic a parameter, I can drag that up to 1. Oops, I forgot to set in a max on it, didn't I? 1. And so it is now a metallic, it is now a metallic wood, which kind of looks not very wood-like, right? So I turn the metallic down to 0.5, and it still doesn't look very good. 0.1. Yeah, it's kind of a weird look. Turn metallic off, or I can just uncheck it. And then the roughness, I can adjust the roughness on it. Ooh. It's like a very polished wood look. And so what's fun about dynamic materials is you can actually just do that, right? Like rather than having to like edit the value and then save it and apply it and then look at the screen. And I should have set this between 0 and 1 as well. You can see you can just sit there and kind of drag it around until it gets to a level that you kind of look like. When it's really shiny, it looks kind of wet, you know, like a wet surface. And so that actually looks pretty good there. So I'll leave the roughness on that, and then the speck, that one I did clamp properly between 0 and 1. So I can drag that around until I get a value where it looks pretty nice. It's a nice shine on it. And then with the normal map on it set to the walnut, I've got this kind of cool grooves going through it. I can change the subsurface color now. So let's override that and make that like maybe yellow. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's not a good look. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. So I'm going to come in here and hit save. And also, if you radically change a material instance, you can hit save sibling, and then you can create another child of the overall instance. Like this guy radically changed from when I opened it because it was this bumpy yellow ugly surface, and now it's like a wood. And so what I probably should have done if I wanted to keep the bumpy yellow, which I didn't, was to hit save sibling, and then we would have two different children of the instance sitting next to each other. Or you can hit save child, so that the wood would be a child of the bumpy yellow node. So if I change bumpy yellow, the child would change as well. I don't think I want to do that though. So yeah. Let me come back into Kearney Mat, the parent, and let's see, did subsurface nodes? It's hooked up. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with that. Okay. Subsurface profile. Yeah. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about this? Basically, the approach that we took here was to replace the constants with parameters. And once you replace a constant with a parameter, then you can right-click on it, create a material instance, and then overwrite the parameter. So I've got 1, 2, 3 different instances of Kearney mat. The original Kearney mat isn't actually used anywhere. Okay, now it's being used on the... Ew, that is just disgusting. Yeah, I had to leave it in there to troll my daughter. Yeah. What did you do to my tree? There. The table. That is so obnoxious. That is such an obnoxious color. Alright. Okay, so any questions? Because this is going to be your next assignment. Making a dynamic material. Stop, you monster. Okay, so I just re-reviewed what we did last week, and I made a new texture from scratch with a base color of dark green, metallic 1, specular 0.1, roughness 0.6, and a texture sample of gravel for the normal map and ambient occlusion. Dragged out the prop and texture streaming pools over the budget. And look, it's lowered the resolution. It's crazy. How am I over the budget for the texture streaming? Fine. Delete you. Yeah. Look at that. All the textures are lower quality now. It's interesting. I have like 16 gigs of video RAM. How is this? Whatever. All right, so yeah, so if you didn't do the original assignment, do that by midnight tonight, and post your material onto the IS50 channel. What graphics card do I have? I have a 2080 Ti. I've been trying to upgrade to a 3090 for half a year now, and there haven't been any. And I'm not going to encourage scalpers on eBay by buying a scalped 3090. So they're the reason, you know, why they're all sold out. That and cryptocurrency mining. How's my texture stream pool? Don't you know who I am? Okay, well anyhow. It's kind of cool look. Very garish though, like that. That's still super garish. Okay, so for your assignment, it'll be due by Thursday because it's literally your same assignment, just slightly tweaked. Just make it a dynamic material. Okay, so to make a dynamic material, like I just made Bob here, the step again is rather than the color being fixed, you delete, and actually let's not delete it. I want to remember what my numbers are because I like those. So I'm just going to alt-click and just move that guy out of the way. And then there is something called a vector parameter, and this will be the color, and feed that into color. And if you want to lerp between two different colors like I did, there's all sorts of noise that you can use. So this guy I will have default value of 0.0417 and 0.000343. Okay. So there, it's the same as it was before, and I don't need that constant anymore. And so if you want to lerp let's make lerping part of it too. So how does lerping work? Lerping works by doing a linear interpolation between two different values. So like when your temperature on your car is turned all the way down to 0, it's at 60 degrees. We turn it all the way up to max, is at 90 degrees. At least that's how it is in my car. And so if you turn the thermostat all the way down to 0, you know, the dial all the way down to 0, 60 degrees, all the way up to max is at 90 degrees. So halfway, we put the dial halfway between 0 and 1, it should be halfway between 60 degrees and 90 degrees. 60 plus 90 is 150, so halfway should be at 75. Okay, and so as you turn the dial up, the temperature goes from 60 to 90 smoothly and linearly. And so you can do that, like if I've got 1 person here, and then let's add another vector parameter here, and we'll make this color, what's a good complementary color for green? It's a good complementary color for green. Let's go with neon pink. That's the exact opposite of complementary. Okay, and then I'm going to drag from this into Lerp. And I think if you hit L and click, yeah, you get a Lerp node, because Lerping is very common. And so you run the first color into A, you run the second color into B, and then if you want to have a cool pattern when you Lerp, you can feed a texture into that. Did this not take? It did not take. Okay, let's make it neon pink. Oh, I have to drag the intensity up. Super neon pink, there we go. And then let's use one of Zach's noise functions to blur between the two. Ooh, that's cool. That's cool. These are all pretty cool. Let's do this one. I like that one. And then Lerping uses a number from 0 to 1. And so if you get 0, you're going to get green. If you get 1, you're going to get pink. Black is 0, white is 1. So I feed that into alpha, or actually, let's just grab one of the channels out of it, the red channel. That. And then the result of that Lerp node is going to be here, and you can see every area that is white on the texture pattern here turns into this neon pink monstrosity here. And every area that is black is green, and then it smoothly blends between the two in the areas where it's gray. You can see there's areas where it's less, it's not just a clean delineation, it's a linear interpolation. And so if we apply this, and come back up into my directory and put Bob on the surface of the ground. Oh, my daughter is gonna die. Hey Ada, come here, girl.
Yes.
I made some beautiful artwork for you.
I know that's probably not. Ew. Ew.
Do you like that?
Ew.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's like a green, brown, red color. Isn't that gorgeous?
I won't say it's pretty bad though.
You want to say it's pretty bad? Okay. Well, if you think that's bad, take a look at the grass that I made.
Still not pretty bad.
Still not pretty bad? You don't think that's pretty bad?
It just looks like the poison in Mario Odyssey.
It is. Okay. All right. All right. What about this wood surface? Do you like that?
It looks like the outside of a potato.
Outside of a potato. What about this one? It's like a pebbly gray, yellow,
it's
blue.
like the color of violets.
You like that? Okay. What about these guys? Your
What
Buddha,
did you do to them?
you left your Buddha there for too long, so it is now encrusted in.
Dad, seriously, can you shoot it back to normal?
I don't know how, girl. I'm sorry.
Okay, then we'll delete it and place a new one.
Oops. How about that?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And can you get rid of all the flowers everywhere, please?
I don't know how.
You click on them, then you press delete.
So the table is now this neon. Hang on, no, you just leave it. So the table now is like a neon green, red.
Please fix it.
Please fix it. Reset to default. Okay, there we go. Oh, man. That is monstrous. That is monstrous. Okay, so we probably need a texture text chord running into this. So let's make a sample. See, no. Let's just make a text chord, texture coordinate, and that will just default to 1, 1. And I'm going to do that scalar parameter again. I'm just kind of repeating the process for those of you that weren't paying attention the first time. This is going to be tiling. And so there's two different types of parameters. There's vector, and there's more than that. There's texture parameter and stuff. But scalar parameter is one number. A vector parameter is 3 or 4. And you got a texture parameter, so you can have the blending be modifiable, stuff like that. And so I'm going to grab this, type multiply. But in multiplication, in truth, I was bright. Tiling is a parameter that will default to 1. and whose minimum is 0.1 and whose maximum is, let's set it to 20. It wasn't quite high enough maybe last time. And so, did that texture sample go away? No, it's still there, it's just not drawing. Okay. So let's apply this. And now, what we can do is we can right click on Bob and choose create material instance, and we can call this one the floor and drag that on. So that is now on the floor rather than on Bob. And if we double click on floor, we can snap this. Where can we snap this to the left hand side? Just drag it down here a little bit. Ew. What is happening with my texture budget? So weird. Okay, well anyway, I can change the tiling, drag. You can see I can make it tile a lot or a little. So I can adjust this until it's just at the level of tiling that I want. I can adjust the color so that it's blue and green if I want. And I can, all the other things like metallic and things like that, I could change if I had remembered to make them parameters, which I didn't. I made these guys constants. And so constants, the only way you can modify them is by coming to the material editor and editing them and saving them and closing out. You can see that this is now not a metal. It is now not metallic at all. Anything that you make as a parameter, though, you can edit in the material instance and just on the fly, just do things like this and just drag things around and just see how they look. So that is going to be your homework assignment. Okay. So garbage. It's like 1980s era computer science right here. It's kind of a nice look. You see how the lerping works here? How like there's areas that are purple, there's areas that are green, but the areas that were grayscale in the image, you see how it blends between the green and the purple. Works out pretty nicely. Okay. Evil magic watermelon. Yeah, I don't even know what's happening here. There's really no consistent art theme to the spring 2021 world. Okay, so let's get to water. Let's make a lake or something. So let's make a lake. We got a staircase. Let's drop the staircase down a little bit. There. And this staircase we'll delete. Let's see. Yes. Make the world's cheapest ramp. So I'm going to scale it like that, and scale it like that, and I'm going to rotate it like that. Onwards to victory. All right, so again, this is not a good practice, by the way. I'm just making something really quick. Okay. Just want some way of walking down the world. There we go. So I'm going to build a little swimming pool down here. Okay. So I've actually got the terrain for it already, so it's not bad. And our ramp, of course, should be blue gold because that matches the purple really well. It's so disgusting. So disgusting. Oh my gosh. Oh, they're so garbage. I feel just bad doing this. Embarrassing. Okay. The most garish textures of them all. Okay. So let's make a lake. So we got this area right here we can turn into a lake. Let's go Shift 2 puts you into landscaping mode, and so we can go into sculpting, And we can, this brush is really big. Let's make the brush a little smaller. Radius 400. And by default, when you sculpt, it raises, but if you hold down Shift, it'll lower. So you can kind of sculpt. That might be a little too steep. I just want kind of a little shallow pond, kind of. Little pond. I don't want any of the things to be too steep because I don't want to get stuck in it. Yeah, that's nice. That looks good. Okay. And yeah, whatever. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and put a water surface over it. This is what we did last time. So I just dragged out a plane, and I'm going to scale this plane up. Okay. And you can see that when you intersect a plane with a landscape, you can get kind of interesting contours. You notice that I've got a kind of a straight line right there. So I'm going to go back into sculpting and just kind of hold down Shift and yeah. That's the edge of the plane. That's what's happening. Okay. So click on you, scale you up some more, and yeah, you can see you can get pretty interesting contours and stuff like that from it. So let's raise this up a little bit. There we go. Maybe put a little diving board there. I don't know. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to make a material for the surface of the water. And then we need to make it so you can fall through it. Right now, if we jump on it, we'll just land on it, right? So let's do that first, actually. Let's click on you, scroll down, and this is something that all of you guys need to know about, which is the collision tab. Every time you have an object selected in Unreal Engine, you need to really pay attention to this because that chooses if you can walk through it or not, right? So if we wanted to make our ramp not work, we could set the collision preset on it to no collision. And so if I set the ramp to no collision and I come over here, I'm like, oh look, a ramp. Let's walk down the ramp. Then we fall through it, right? And so every object in the game can have collision set or not set. And so block all, overlap all, block all dynamic. And so you can ignore pawns, overlap pawns, and things like that. So default for solid objects just makes them solid. This guy, however, we do not want to be solid because it is just a water plane. And so what we really want here is for it to collision presets, no collision. So when we jump into the water, we want to just fall through. So because I put the ramp back on default, and you can make the ramp ignore specific things. So you see the balls falling there. And if we jump in, we're dead. We fell below the kill plane of the world. So the kill plane is low enough that we actually fell out of the world, it thinks. And so the so it actually deleted us. Where is the kill plane? Where's the kill plane? Select nobody. World settings. Pre-compute visibility, should probably turn that on. Light mask settings, first person game mode, kill Z. So the kill plane is there. Let's drop that to negative 3000. Let's try this again. Okay. And we can fall through. And you notice that we can't see the water actually from the underside, right? A plane is, and we're kind of trapped in here, aren't we? There we go. Probably should smooth out the walls a little bit more. Landscaping tool, Shift, and we'll just kind of make the exit a little bit easier. Make it a little easier to get out of here, maybe. even bigger. Why not? More the merrier. It's all water. Okay, and so when you intersect a water plane with landscape, you get these nice contours. It's really cool, kind of a cool look. Let's make this guy really big. Okay, now we need to come up with a water texture, a water material. And the game engine does give you some materials by default. So we'll just use that for now, I guess. Glass. It's kind of cool. Right? Kind of looks almost like very still water, right? So look at that. Doesn't that look like very crystal clear water? I need to get rid of those flowers, but right? Doesn't that look like just crystal clear water, and you walk through there and shiny. Stuck. Again, I need to kind of smooth this out, but that's the general idea. So yeah, we got this. Will do. This will do for now. So what do we want? We want. Let's actually raise the water level up a little bit. Let's raise this up a little bit. There we go. That's cool. It's a nice effect. And in fact, if you animate a plane like this, you can actually have waves coming in and going out. Do you see how it traces the contour of the landscape? And so a very easy way of animating waves is to have a landscape with an interesting set of terrain on it, and then just animate the plane up and down. And we haven't learned how to do that yet. We can do that next time if you like. And so you just have it kind of gradually go up and down, and then you'll see waves kind of running in and out. And it looks like the you've spent all this time animating all the different curves and ways the water flows, but it's really just tracing the contours of the landscape. Shortcut to go into landscape is Shift 2. Yeah. Okay. So let's pull this up a little bit more, and yeah, there we go. Okay. So so we've got U selected, right? Okay. Details. No collision on it. Lighting, vendoring. Okay, so actually doing a pretty decent job on the reflections. It's not bad. It's a little bit odd though. So one thing you can do is you can add a reflection to it. Reflection. So if you put a box reflection capture on here, then and you just kind of have it, you see this like yellow area here, then the game will compute reflections for you over that area. So I'm just going to use it. I'm going to encompass the water with it. Let's see. So I'm just going to make sure that all the water in there is encompassed by it. And then when we play it, what it will do is it'll pre-compute the lighting, the reflections a little bit better. So you see how it's like, ew, it's actually really gross. But you see how it's reflecting the landscape now, when it wasn't doing that before. Yeah, so that's something you need to play with. But yeah, because it's glass, so it's actually not water. But the reflection capture can be used to make better reflections on surfaces and things like that. So by default, it does what's called screen space reflections, and I think the glass actually might be doing that already. Let's try switching this out with Q. And so if you do that, yeah, you see how the landscapes are getting reflected here, right? But if let's get rid of the box capture. Then on there. So you see when I move the box capture over here, you see how it's starting to capture the landscape reflections? You see that? Let me put it halfway there. So the box capture is the box reflection capture is over half the lake. Okay, and so you can see the difference here. So Yeah, you can see the difference. Where the box reflection capture is, it's actually reflecting the landscaping, and on the left-hand side, it's not. Right. So if you drag one of those areas over the lake, then you can have it. Let's actually have it over the whole thing. Bigger, 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 bigger. Capture all. Scale 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Just make this thing damn big. There we go. Okay. And then it's going to capture the reflections of the world properly. So what it does, it kind of pre-computes the reflections, so you can see how you can see the reflection of the landscape there, and the landscape reflection is properly drawn and stuff like that. So the sunlight looks good, and if we jump in, now we're underwater. Okay. Now what we want to do, I probably should smooth this out so we can actually get out. Right, like kind of stuck right now, but whatever. That's not what we're here for. So when you are in underwater, usually the screen turns blue, and so there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can do it with fog. We've done fog before, so I'm going to show you guys one new thing today, which is the post-process node, post-process volume, and so we're going to drag that out. And what we want is this box to cover all of the underwater areas. So when you're underwater, this post-process volume will kick in, and it will change how it draws. So I'm going to put it right there. So it's right on the top. It is right on the surface, and then I'm going to scale it in the X and Y. If you ever want to know what direction X is, do you see the bottom left corner of the screen here where it has X and Y? So that shows you which direction X is, which direction Y is. X is red, Y is green, blue is Z. So I'm going to scale it 3,000 units in the X direction, 3,000 units in the Y direction, and if we zoom out, let's go underneath the world, I guess. You can kind of see the boundary of this thing. It's pretty big. Okay. So that should be good. It's actually pretty huge, isn't it? 100? 100? As long as it encompasses all of the areas beneath the ground where we could be underwater, then we're good. Okay, so post-processing volume changes how the world is rendered. Okay, and there's a lot of really cool things you can do here. So we are here in the post-process volume 2. So we're going to call this underwater. We're going to call this post-processing volume underwater. So when you enter the water zone, you should intersect the volume with the post-processing volume. And you can do things like change depth of field, bloom, exposure, camera, lens flare, image effects, depth of field, white balance, shadows, midtones, mist, rendering features, processing material, ambient occlusion, code map, motion blur, reflections. Let's see, which one do we want here? Where are you? Scene color, there you go. Okay, so when we enter this area, let's make it, double click on you, no? Okay, double click on you, and we're gonna make it blue. We're gonna make it like a dark blue. So let's try that. So scene color, dark blue. All right. There's our water, which again, we need to actually change the material for the water. It's a chrome look right now. And if we jump in here, you see how everything gets tinted blue. Kind of cool, huh? And then we come out, and it's normal again, and we drop down, and it's blue, and we come out. Yeah, 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 kind of cool, huh? Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and could not get stuck underneath here. I should add swimming, shouldn't I? I keep getting stuck underwater. So yeah, so that's the post-process volume, and you can do. There's a whole lot of things you can do with it. Like let's add grain jitter 0.5 and grain intensity of 1. I don't know. Vignette of 0.9. If you go under there, you can see how it's all grainy now. Yeah, yeah. Kind of cool, huh? Kind of neat. Kind of neat. And it does a vignette, so the edges of the screen darken. So if I turn that off, you can see, or you can turn it up. It's like you're getting tunnel vision. Right? Tunnel vision. Grain jitter 0.1, 10, 1, 0. I don't know. Grain intensity. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can play with a lot of these things. Dirt mask. Yeah. So, and then you pop out, and it's all done. So you can do all sorts of cool effects, and it doesn't have to just be for underwater. You can make it so when you enter a certain room, your eye starts. Maybe there's no oxygen in the room, and so you start getting a vignette effect. So you start getting tunnel vision as you start running out of oxygen. Like that. Is it hard to add in swimming? Nah, it's not. What do we got? 3 minutes left. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Physics volume. So all these volumes are different things you can add to the world. I should probably show you a clipping volume. That's a blocking volume. Sorry, a blocking volume can be used to just stop people from walking through it. So if you've ever seen the bushes in Pokemon, right, that just stop people from walking through it, if you just put one of these volumes, like at the base of the ramp, it's totally invisible. And this is how game developers keep people from falling out of the world, right? Like if there's an area where you're not supposed to go, they'll put an invisible wall there. The blocking volume is an invisible wall. You see that? So that's actually something kind of important to know. And so it's kind of lame to have a blocking volume. Like people don't like invisible walls like that, but it's also a good idea to just kind of enclose your world in them so people can't fall out, because falling out's even worse. So physics volumes, yeah, look at that edge. It's all garbage today, huh? It's all garbage. Okay, so physics volume. So anytime you see something like with the word volume, basically it's just an invisible cube, and you just put it over a section of the map. Like the reflection volume then captures reflections on that area. I'm going to lower you a little bit. Good. The reflections volume will capture reflections in the area to get nice reflections like that, not just screen space reflections. And the physics volume will allow you to change physics in an area. And the post-process volume allows you to change how the camera appears in an area. So there's a lot of these different volumes in the thing. And pain causing. So we're going to do a physics volume. So I'm just going to drag that out and scale it up. Too tall. Drop it down right below the water level. Yep. Center it. Scale it up. Scale it up a little bit. Yeah, it's good enough. Okay. And then what do we want this physics volume to do? Well, make it water. Let's see if that'll do it, actually. Might have swimming in by default. Let's see if that'll work. Yeah, you see how I'm kind of like drifting through the water? See, it's a swimming effect automatically. I can't jump underwater, but I'm kind of just drifting through the water. So it switches physics from air to being in water, right? And if you have multiple volumes overlapping the same area, and this goes for like post-processing volumes and physics volumes and things like that, you can choose the priority. Higher priority takes effect first. Yeah, I mean that's good enough for today, I guess. So yeah, you can use. You don't have to worry about that for now. Basically, your assignment for next time is just making the dynamic material instance, and then we'll pick up on making water next time. And there's some really cool options in Unreal Engine for doing water. So before next time, I'd like for you guys to do one thing for me. You look at that. And the frame rate drops. There you go. Plugins. If you go to Edit Plugins and search for water, there's actually some really nice water plugins. Shallow water, yes, and regular water, and was it land mass as well. So these are some cool plugins, and then you just hit restart, and then the plugins will be enabled for you. And so just go ahead and do that for next time. They have dynamic, they have waves and like all this kind of stuff. It's like really cool, way better than the cheap little hack that I used with the plane. And even if you animate the plane a little bit, it's still just the plane. The water plugins have some really cool stuff, and you can make lakes and rivers really easy. You just click and drag and stuff like that. It's super cool. So like I said, we'll pick up water next time. Today's water was just you make a plane, put some sort of water texture on it, which we didn't do. Put a reflection capture on it so that it captures landscaping accurately. Do a post-process volume so that the camera turns colors when you're underneath the water, and a physics volume so that it simulates swimming underneath water. Okay, so that's just the basic, super basic water, and we'll pick it up again next time on Thursday. For now, though, make that dynamic material instance. That'll be due Thursday, and if you haven't done your regular material, that's due tonight. Let's say at midnight. Okay, and if you didn't get 5 out of 5 on it, again, resubmit it by midnight tonight. Okay. Compiling shaders, yeah, that'll take a while. All right, so that's it for today, guys. I'll hang out for a little bit answering questions if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Thursday. Peace. Is water CPU heavy? It can be. Can be.